Hello and good evening. Well, it's Friday yet again. Time for Trisha time as the last one of this week. First week of January, getting back into the swing of things as the new year has started. So hopefully there'll be a few people watching along with me tonight. I did off the top of my head say on Wednesday that tonight would be a patchwork block keeper that I'd be demonstrating, and I've managed to get it done. Albeit, in my mind, there are other bits and pieces I want to do, so watch this space. Hi, Jill. Lovely to see you tonight. And Maria. I will be bringing another one out. Oh, jolly good, Vanessa. So I've done a simplified version tonight. Hi, Lindsay and Yvonne. Oh, and Alison. Lots of you coming to join me. How nice. And Tony, hello. And Alison, I didn't think I said. And Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. And hello, Sarah. And hello, Caroline. Yes, so a little bit different in here. Hello, Beverly. Hello, Janet. Another weekend. I know. Hello, Caroline. Weekends. Mum visiting this weekend. Hello, Anne. Hello, Jill. Hello, John, if you're watching. Hello, Sue. Sue saying hello to all the Trishettes too. Hello, Patricia. Hope you're all well at your end and things are improving. Whispers talking to Tony. Hello, Shirley. And hello, Carolyn. Yes, so I've been rushing around today. Hello, Pamela. As per usual, I suppose. Hello, Carol. And hello, Sue. May have to take a call. Okay, no problem. I'm sure everybody will be good on here tonight. Just if we get some visitors, you know. But absolutely fine. Don't worry, Lindsay. Hello, Kathleen. Lovely to see you. And hello, Bev. Looking forward to next week. It'll soon be here. And as I say, getting back. Hello, Sue. Getting back into the swing of things. Hello, Pollyann. Hoping your Wi-Fi holds out. Oh, I hope it does too. Hello, Joanne. Lovely to see you. And Trudy. Hi, Trudy. And Marion. I hope you're not too wet in the Isle of Wight, Marion. I mean, it's awful. It's around here. It's not too good at all. But and hello, Barbara. In fact, today's post office trip, the road was closed, which then meant, hello Anne, hello Mary, which then meant everything was jammed up where I was going on 3 occasions, and I thought, do you know what, I'm not doing it. Hello Dorothy, Sarah's safe, hopes everyone's safe. I hope everyone's safe as well. I know Direct Family, hello Christine. I was thinking about how high their property is. Unfortunately, we're all on a bit of a higher ground, so it hasn't affected any of us. Hello, Brenda. Oh, I'm looking really well. Well, do you know what? Very big rush. I did my hair again because I won't go into it, but today has just been one thing after another, as you can imagine. And grandchildren are here a little bit later, and so what I needed to get done was difficult to get done, but got it done. So no worries. Hello, Jeeta. Hello, Rosemary. Lovely. Oh, that's good, Rosemary. As I say, I will be doing another one along the similar lines, but perhaps in a different way, and because they're always handy. Now, I don't know if you're watching, some years ago, there's a demo where I made one with a zip in and a clear plastic pocket, or 2 of them. Also, the Frenchy tool holder would be fabulous, and I was going to add some clear vinyl to this, but time got away from me, and I needed to do something that was quick and fairly easy, but I'll do an upgraded version. I wanted to put a scissor holder, I wanted to put something, so a little bit more than just a patchwork block holder. So what I've done today is just that, as it says, and I hope you'll like it. So let's carry on. Hello, Shirley. Hello, Carrie. Hello, Beverly. Demo on canoe building. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Oh, Sarah lives on a hill. Yes, we're quite high up. So, yeah. It's quite good. Hello, Elaine. Oh, I'm glad you could make it too. I know it is heartbreaking, and I just think, I saw, I don't know if you did, somebody in a rather large, it looked like a farm property with lots of buildings, and he'd been flooded, I think 3 times before, and he'd built a brick wall, like breeze block brick wall around, and the water was within probably 12 inches of the top of it, but he was completely dry in there. And I thought perhaps some of the councils could take note of that, because I think, you know, with breeze blocks, it's not the most expensive building material, and perhaps that could help so many properties that have got no defence at all. But, you know, who knows? Hello, Anne. Hello, Marilyn. Hello, Isabel. Oh, my goodness. John O'Groats flooded. Oh, that's north. No, John O'Groats. Land's End. Yeah, John O'Groats the other way. Up north. Oh, my goodness. Jesus, looking forward to tonight. And hello, Jill. Hello, Virginia. Hello, Ellen. Oh, I hope you're doing well. I know you're back at the care home, but you still have a long way to go. Well, you just keep doing a bit of hand sewing, tuning in, and hopefully we'll get you really, really on the mend. But we're all thinking of you and sending our love and prayers to you. Oh, you're in Tenerife. Well, and it's raining there. Well, I never. No, we don't feel better for you. We think you should have decent weather when you go all that way. You enjoy yourself anyway. It's holiday. Hello, Diane. And hello, Jan. I know, I'm cold. I've been cold today. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Lovely to see you. And Patricia, hello. And now, Patricia, was it you that made a lovely bag? You made the Rebecca bag very quickly after I demoed it. Absolutely lovely. I love it. I love seeing all your makes. In the Sew Trisha Sews group is where you can put all your makes that you've done, having seen a demo, using my fabric or patterns. And it's really lovely when... I know I'd suggested doing the flap in a different colourway, but you did. And I wish I'd have done mine like that too. Never mind. You've proved that it can be done, and it does look lovely. Marion says, because she's on the Isle of Wight, flooded in places yesterday, had to take a longer route round to get home, but it's been dry today. Good. You would have thought on the Isle of Wight it could all drain into the sea, wouldn't you, and stay there? Yeah. There we go. It's my logic. Hello, Sandra. Oh, Happy New Year to you too, Ellen. Hello, Janet. Hello, Susan. Hello, Moya. Hello, Pat. Ah, Patricia says thank you for all the lovely comments on her Rebecca bag. It was lovely. You know, we don't just say it for the sake of it, but it was lovely. Beverly's saying Happy New Year as well too. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Bev. Oh, you're welcome, Ellen. Everybody's saying Happy New Year to you too. And Marilyn, evening Marilyn, and Glynis, and Janet. Yeah, I am okay. Even my drive, the car, where the car put the car, is on a slope. So I think that probably says a little bit, not that you've been to see me, but yes, there are floods lower down. So the next village up is flooded under the bridges there, so you can't get through to there. Yeah, it's not particularly good, but then we're not really on the verge of a river, but it's just a place that does get flooded. Hello, Michelle. You're only 2 weeks behind and not 3. Trees and decks are down. Well, yeah, my decks are down too, because I actually, I think I said, the grandchildren took the baubles off the Christmas tree, and the Christmas tree went back outside because it's in a little pot and it's growing nicely, didn't drop any needles, and lovely. So I'm quite glad about that. And I even dusted off a decoration that looks like a Christmassy dried flower or dried pods decoration. Dusted that off, so it's all sparkly and new now. But I leave that out all year round. Hello, Angela, and hello, Jennifer. Right, so, now a few things I was going to say to you. Hello, Heather. And also, that I've forgotten to bring up with me, being in the rush that I was, I have some new products, and I have them ready to go on the website, but it's just finding the time to do that. So with the up and coming, hello Elaine, changes or additions in the Sew with Trisha group, hello Sheila, I have bought in new stock. So I will have going on there. I've got DMC threads, DMC, what would you call them? Skeins of just your basic floss, you'd call it, I suppose. The 6 strand. Hello, Jack. Hello, Karen. So I have quite a few colours in those. I've also got some DMC Perle 8, which is a stranded yarn. So it's very like the Orifil floss. Hello, Chris. But it's shiny. It's got a sheen to it. So I've got a few colours there. Hello, Catherine. I have got some needles in that go with. And what else did I got? And also, you may have seen, I think I've done it in the Sew Trisha Sews group, a poll. Hello, Elaine. Good evening to you. To see if you like crochet or knitting, what is your favourite? What is your favourite weight of yarn? Jill, sorry, I didn't reply to you. They are available. Yes, I could get them, but I have to buy them in 10s. And being a larger weight, they are more. 12 weight, yes, not 15. 12 weight. Yeah, I say they are available, but it's just, it depends on the call for them, because if I buy 10 in and have them sitting there and sell one, you know, it's, what I tend to do is keep the things that people use on an ongoing basis. But I'd have a look the next time I'm ordering, and if I can do something with them, something extra that would use them and sell them, pass them through, then of course I will. But at this present point in time, I haven't. But I'll see the next time I order through Orifil. Okay. So, yes, knitting yarns. Now, I've now got an account with Signet Yarns. Now, they've got lovely, lovely yarns. And there's some in particular that I know I'm going to stock because they are beautiful. But if you do crochet or knit, perhaps... oh, I know, Janet, I know. It's only going to be... This is what I was thinking. It won't be on a regular basis. It will be, you know, on and off. It will just be some and some. And I want to keep the interest there. I want to, you know, bring other people in that may only knit and crochet and perhaps may think when they see some stitching, oh, we could give that a go too. So just broaden everybody's horizons with all they can do. But it is a nice, you know, sometimes in the evening, you don't want to stitch. Some of you do, I know. But I tend to, the light is not the best it could be. And that's when I tend to crochet or slow stitch or knit. I haven't done so much knitting of late, but I can. So hence, and yarn makes me smile. Yarn makes me happy seeing all those beautiful, beautiful yarns there are. So if you wanted to have a look and see what sort of, can we make another top, please? We can, Jeter. Now, Lindsay had got one in mind for that. But yes, we'll see when we can do another one of those. I've got loads of patchwork quilts I've got in mind as well. You always knit and crochet in the evening. It's restful. Yeah, it is. I'm talking to a nitty nutter. Oh, there you are then, Michelle. So have a look. Signet, C-Y-G-N-E-T. Have a look to see. And I'll put a post up in the group. Fabric makes you happy, but yeah, get it. I know. Anne loves Fair Isle. Oh my god. I used to do that on a knitting machine, but to do it by hand, it's like, oh, it takes too long. So that's where there are chunky yarns, and that's where I would knit a cardigan or a jumper or something along those lines if I was knitting with chunky yarn, because it wouldn't take too long to knit up. Big needles, big crochet hooks, great. So yeah, have a look at those. I'll put a post up in the group. Oh, Trisha likes to crochet, yes. Oh, you knit hundreds of pairs of socks in the evenings. Wow. Wow, Lindsay. Because there is there's not a huge range of sock yarn, but I did wonder about that because I haven't knitted socks, so I shall have to bring you on board, Lindsay, and you can be demoing sock making. Yeah, Jack knits in the evening when the kittens permit. Oh, yes. They like the wool too, I bet. And you want to try knitting socks, Jill? Yeah, I wouldn't mind. It was actually going through my mind today as I was doing something else. And I was thinking, I wonder what you do. I wonder if you put them off on a little needle and then you stitch a bit and then you join it back. I don't know. Pat's got some really old crochet patterns. Yes. Yep. Yep. I have somewhere. And sock making would be fab. Yes. Ah, so Leslie knows how to do them as well. Hi, Mavis. Karen's still got knitting machines up in the loft. I've got a knitting machine. It's not in the loft. It's in my bedroom. But it has cones of yarn on there. Oh, dear. Yes, Viv, they do cotton. And I was thinking cotton because, Jill's done a crochet sock as well. Oh. Yeah, so cotton yarn, because I love doing doilies, you know, I could just sit and do those. I was thinking some cotton yarn for doing that as well. So I shall be getting cotton. Oh, Anne was thinking about knitting socks. I'm going to get my finger out, aren't I? Or get somebody else to do it for me. Giant's crocheting the edge of a baby blanket. Yeah, looks fabulous. Morning. Morning, Anne. Oh, morning. Oh, somebody abroad here, morning. And Elaine's currently crocheting a pram rug in 4 colours for your pregnant daughter. Well, the other thing with crochet... Oh, it came out of it a giant, Jill. Oh, dear. Once you start knitting socks, you won't want to stop. Oh, Trudy's addicted. Right. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, you do need the tiny needles. I didn't know that. Yeah, dishcloths from cotton yarn. That's a great way to start knitting if you've never done it before. So, yeah, good one, Jennifer. You've been crocheting hexie cardigans, Elaine. Wow, that sounds good. I've seen a lovely pattern, which is in crochet, a square, but it's got sunflower. So, with a brown centre, so the start of it is in the brown, and then yellow petals. And I thought, I've got to do that. I mean, I'm sure, I haven't done it before, but I'm sure I can read the pattern and do that. It would be lovely to do that. So, yes, what did we go back there? I was forgetting. Yes, Tunisian crochet I did years ago, absolutely years ago. Long hooks, and it was sort of almost knitting. I bet that was good 40 years ago that I did some Tunisian. Haven't done it in ages. Haven't done it in ages. Oh, yes, that's what I was going to say. So, if you know how to crochet, years ago, and I did do a little bit, but it does take a little while. But we can do some patchwork that joins with, and I tell you what we do. We make a square, and we do it double-sided, and then we blanket stitch around the outside edges, and then where on a blanket stitch, you know, it has the arm that goes along the top of the edge, and then the little legs come off. Where that little loop is at the top, you crochet into that, and you crochet from one to the other to join them, and it looks beautiful, beautiful. So, where do you find the time, says Kathleen. Well, I don't all the time. Ellen loves double knit, the one you use 100% acrylic. Yep. More than often not, it will be acrylic. And that's what the hospitals want for newborn babies. That's something we could do. I love baby things because they're finished quickly. So if I could find somewhere with a pattern that needs certain things for... hello, Gwen. Nice to see you too. Sounds good. Don't forget you have to teach us newbies how... Yes. Well, that will be the first thing I will do, Jack. I will do a little, either if we call it refresher, for those that haven't done it for a little while, and complete beginners. So, yeah, you'll have to do that first. But it's always... It is good to have that extra... Being able to crochet, it opens out a multitude. And if we could, you know, join the two, as I say, the patchwork, I've seen, you could Pinterest it and have a look, and they are lovely. And not difficult once you know how to do it. Once you know how to crochet and then put it all together. Hello, Sheena. You've bought some crochet hooks as you'd love to learn to crochet. You're knitting Aaron's and Fair Isle Jump. My goodness, that is wonderful. So Aaron's, yes, I can. I know Janet is one for Aaron knitting, but I'm a little bit lazy. You know, that takes time too. I would do some Aaron on a baby jumper or cardigan. And there we go. And but no bigger than that. Janet's been knitting an adult, a large adult jumper, and I think it was for Christmas. So I bet it's been delivered. Jean Ann's made baby quilts for all the babies born. Oh, that's lovely. I should have done, but I didn't. Oh, Gita does hats for prem babies. Yes. Love to do granny square waistcoat. Yep. Once you know how to do a granny square, that can be done. Elaine's with Penistone Knitting Group. They do knitting for babies and residential homes. Oh, that's lovely. It's always good to have a reason to do it. And that's what I love about things. If you've got, you know, I used to make, which I know a lot of you do, and you think, why am I doing this? What am I doing with it? But when you've got a reason to knit, crochet, sew, it is really good. And Jack loves Aaron knitting. I love to see it. I don't particularly love to do it. Catherine's mother tried to teach you loads of times, but you couldn't get the hang of it. Yes, it's lovely to do it. Yes. I don't mind using a 1.5 or a 2 hook. Absolutely. And that's what I did most of the time, actually. Yeah, train your toes. Yes. Sue's cut out a quilt for a new baby. Lovely. Oh, fabulous, Janet. I knew you were here, so I knew you'd hear. And it fitted a treat. Yes. It wasn't even a size small, was it, Janet? And I thought, yeah, you really got going on that. Tony's made all the grandchildren crochet blankets. But it's Zygo, yes. I make things up sometimes. The thing is, when I make it up, this is my, I'll confess here, if I haven't been away for a little while, but if we've had a little break anywhere, wherever, usually in Norfolk, I always I hunt out a craft shop or somewhere that has fabric, yarn, knitting needles, and guaranteed, if there's nothing I particularly want, I will buy a ball of yarn and a crochet hook or knitting needles, and I will sit there in the evening and I will start crocheting. And then when I've got a bit done, I think, well, what's this for? So I unpick it, roll it back onto the yarn. The yarn comes home and it gets put in a bag, and that's where it's at. But it's that feeling of having something that you can do rather than just sitting there with a drink in your hand or watching the telly or looking at the iPad. It's something I like to be doing as well. Maria's a lefty, yeah, but she taught you how to, and oh, that's lovely, Maria. Wouldn't have a clue, left-handed. Well, that's right. I think it's all possible. It's all possible. Following a crochet pattern is difficult. Well, we'll sort that out as well. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely, Jill. Good evening, Leslie. Twiddle muffs. Oh, yes. Yeah, and if they were crocheted, they'd grow quite quickly, wouldn't they? Kathleen would love to learn to crochet. If you do anything for preemie babies in hospital, you need special yarn, as it all needs to be cleaned before they are given. Oh, I see. That's lovely. 4XL, Janet. So the Aaron Janet knitted was 4XL. You did some knitted hearts, Juta. Oh my goodness, I'm talking, aren't I? Oh, Jenny's late grandmother taught her to crochet. Yeah, my late nanny. And mini dresses as well. My goodness, my goodness. Swan bags and jewellery pouches. Oh, that's lovely, Sheena, too. Yes. Oh, Karen loves knitting too. You see, so there's lots of knitters and crocheters out there. Barbara crochets left-handed. Yep. You just reverse. Yep, indeed. Sue's mum tried to teach her Almost I did was make tubes, and you gave up. Well, we'll see what we can do. Okay. Right. I think we'd better begin. Now, this is what we are going to do. This is what. So, I don't know if you saw a picture. So, here is this is our little holder. Now, I didn't know, I did think, shall I put a ribbon fastening that wraps all the way around and ties? I've actually just left it. And I also thought, for those of you with green machines or that use cam snaps, you could just put a popper here and pop it here if you wanted it to hold together. So, when we open it up, this is our block keeper. So it's got a little flap. If I hold it let me fold it back here. There we are. So it keeps it nice and flat, but you've got a flap top and bottom and at the sides. And I purposefully didn't make the flaps go all the way over, because I thought it's really nice. So I put the side ones in first. It's really nice to be able to see what is contained in here. Now I'm going to have a second one after I finish the one tonight. So what I've got in here at the minute is the little bit of slow stitching that I have been doing. So there was one which I showed you last night, a little bit of slow stitching, and there's another one. So it just keeps them, I'm going to take them out now, just keeps them nice and flat while you're not using them. And you can put your bits in there. No need for it to be poppered down or anything in there, because it just lays flat and the outer comes over here. Now when I come to get around to making another one, on this side, because you could just stack them in here anyway, on this side I am going to have a pocket, and I'm going to have a scissor pocket as well. So it will be updated version, and I will put a popper in here. And I thought I've got some nice different of those. If anybody bought the green machine, like a press stud, but it's put on with air. It'll keep everything neat and tidy. With that whole 12 box for block of the month. Yeah, it would. Now I've based this one on it's not 12 inch for your 12-inch blocks. I've based it on, because I know you've all got layer cakes, 10-inch squares. I've cut this from fabric that I have, and I know some of you bought it when I did a sale a few months ago. And but I thought I've cut 10-inch squares. So if you've got a layer cake there, you may have a different front and back, but you could use your layer cake. Doesn't matter. You can make a patchwork block to be the front of yours. I hadn't got time to do this, but this is why I thought I'll use a lovely fabric. And as you can see, I've quilted it. You don't have to, but I've just done diagonal quilting. And the thing which you may not have done, can you see the spine? Can you see the spine there where it folds? I've got a special way that I made up today. I think I have showed you a little bit before, but not done anything with it. But can you see how neat? And the other thing I haven't done, I haven't straight stitched around here. I've just used a decorative stitch to hold the binding around here. So with the binding around here, what it means, it's if you do your patchwork and quilting, I've put the binding on just like I put binding on a patchwork quilt. So most of it is fairly straightforward. So shall we get started? Let's get started. I'm going to pop that. I'll remember to bring myself a pin cushion here today. So I'm going to leave that just there, although you won't be able to see it when I pop the camera down. So let's have a look down near the machine. Nothing there as yet, and I won't be able to see what any comments that you're saying, because I'm looking at what I'm doing. So what we will need, here is one piece that I've just completed, but we will need 2 pieces of outer fabric in 10-inch squares. You'll need 2 pieces, I've got the other bits here, 2 pieces of wadding. So I've used Thermolam, which I've put on the reverse. I've used 505 spray just to hold it to the back of the fabric here. And then I have got a 10-inch square of Pelmet Violin. You know, the thickest Violin that Pelmet, thickest interfacing. It's called extra heavyweight interfacing. A 10-inch square of that too. So I have, and I'm just going to quilt. I've left my walking foot on, but I am going to quilt just straight lines for quickness with this. So I'll set that one aside. And what I'm going to do now, having used the 505 spray to have the Thermolam on there, I'm now going to also, when I made the sample, I didn't spray the back, but I'm actually going to spray my wadding now, just to keep the Pelmet Violin. So here's my Pelmet Violin, and I'm just going to pop that. It's quite easy because it's quite rigid, but this just gives the shape and gives it a bit of body for your quilts, not quilts, for your patchwork block keeper. So that is on the back. It is going to be covered in fabric because you will also need 2 squares of lining fabric. You will also need you'll need 2 widths of fabric for the outer binding. Let me show you here. So these are your 2 10-inch squares here. You will need 2 pieces, which are these flaps here. 2 pieces which are 9 by 8, and 2 pieces for the sides which are 9 by 5. You will then need, as I said, 2 widths of fabric which are 2 1/4 inches wide for our binding, and from the binding or from those widths you'll be able to get 2 to make this spine. You'll need 2 10-inch strips, 10-inch by 2 1/4 inch wide. So that's just saying what you need in total. I'm doing some of the bits in slightly different colour, but we're using the same fabric. So having put those all together, I'm now just going to quilt it. Now what I will say, along with this video, which will be on the So Totally Trisha page ad infinitum, so you can go back to it and have a look at it again. For those of you that are in Sew with Trisha group, there is a basic PDF. It's 2 sheets, just going the whole way through what we're doing tonight, so that you've got a reminder, so you can print it off, download it, save it, but those in the group will need to save it before the end of January. We've got a little while yet, but best to save it straight away and you will have it. So if you're thinking, what is this Sew with Trisha group, have a look. And it's a £5 a month subscription group, but you get so many added extras. We've already done, we've had a brand new bag pattern this month. We're 5 days into January, and now you've got another pattern as well. So that is how it works. Right, so now I'm going to quilt this. So I've put the walking foot on here, and let's just bring that in a little bit more. And I have increased my stitch length up to 3.5. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to eyeball straight lines. So I'm just going to, and this, because it really doesn't matter if it goes wobbly, this is quite a good opportunity to have a play with the walking foot and also practice on your straight lines if you think, I can't stitch a straight line to save my life. But by just holding the fabric at both sides, all I'm doing to give me these fairly straight lines is I'm looking at the edge of my foot here, and I'm looking at this line that I've done, and I'm looking at the gap between my stitch line and the edge of the foot, whoops, and I'm just trying to keep that. I've got my fingers at each end of my square, and I'm just watching to see that that gap is practically the same the whole way down, and it is therefore fairly easy to do. I think it is. Also, if you can see my finger here, I'm holding my finger still, and well, I'm not now, but I'm just allowing it to run past that, and it keeps the block straight. So that's a little bit too far over, so that's not. So there we are. a little bit like when I am top stitching handles. I have my fingers either side of the strap, and it keeps the stitching straight. So we are nearly there. But a walking foot goes through these layers very, very well without actually bunching or making little puckers in the fabric. So it doesn't push the fabric. It just stays directly above all the layers I have. So I have fabric, wadding and pelmet violin, and it just keeps all those layers directly above each other so that it's not pushing any of the fabric either to one side or up downwards usually. So that is what the walking foot will do for you. It will give you that lovely even feed. There's a bit of fabric thread there. So if you wanted to play with free motion, oh, we didn't stitch that. Why didn't we stitch that? Oh, or perhaps we did, and I'm just, no, it didn't stitch. Let's have a look here, see if this is stitching. So it decided, you can't really see now until I get to this end. That sounds better. Decided it wasn't going to catch the bobbin thread, I think. Oh, it's done the same again. Oh my goodness. Let me just have a look. Don't know what's happened with my... Oh, there we are. It was caught. So that's 2 rows I've done without stitching at all. So let's try again. 3rd time lucky. There we go. So for some reason, I tell you what, I did put a post in the group saying, with a top tip, have you cleaned your machine lately? It's a new year. There we go. And I think this one, it had a new needle last week, or on Wednesday even, but it hasn't had a spring clean on the inside. So now is the time to take off your needle plate here, take your bobbin out and give it a little defluff, because I think the machine would like that. So I'm stitching this last line fairly close, and I'm just pushing the fabric away because I don't think the 505 spray was very close to that edge. So just to keep that all secure. Right, so I now have my piece. So there it is, and I've just quilted straight lines, nice and easy. What you can do is trim these threads away there. I think that the wadding has slipped just a little bit. So I know my pelmet violin was exactly 10 inches square. So I'm just trimming those little bits off, like so. And that's it, we're fine now. So we have 1 piece, we have 2 pieces. Now, what I'm going to do for the moment, I am just going to, I'm going to swap my walking foot. So I'm going to take this off. So if you've never put a walking foot on before, everybody, I know this is a bit of a jumbo one, but I have a little wire. What we have to do is we unscrew at the side and take it off. So I've taken that off, and I'm going to put my standard foot back on, and the standard foot will just hook around the needle, or rather the shaft here. So I've just screwed that finger tight, and then I'm just going to give it 1 little extra push with the screwdriver so that is firmly in place. Right, so what I do want to do now is I want to flip this over, because on the reverse here we are going to need our lining fabric. So I'm not going to spray this. I'm just going to pop this on. Both of these pieces need the lining fabric. So with that, I also, belts and braces, I'm going to stitch around the edge. Let's see, let's just go down 1 here, and I'm going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch from the edge with a long stitch so that it holds these layers together. So by stitching just close to the edge, it is just holding it all together because the last thing we want is a little bit of fabric or wadding showing or pelmet violin. Okay, so just flip that around there. The front pieces are actually fine because of all of our quilting, but the back piece needs to be firmly in place. So by going around here, and also you can keep smoothing your hand so that this keeps the fabric nicely. I can see a little, there we are. So by smoothing it over like so, oh, my fabric is moving just the tiniest bit there, and I don't want it to, because I don't want there to be any puckers. Now, probably what I should have done was kept my walking foot on, because we've still got these layers, and it would have held these layers totally smoothly and there wouldn't have been any excess. Now, when we put bindings on, I'm sure that will all disappear. We will not have any little, you see that little bit there? That was because the fabric didn't come out. I'm just going to unpick that just a little bit. Let's just use our seam ripper here. It was because you can see the fabric moved. There we are. I'm just going to leave that as it is because we're going to have the spine goes over there, so you won't notice that bit. But I am going to do the same with this one. And in fact, what I may do, I may just have the tiniest bit, the tiniest little spritz of 505, because it probably would help. So there we are. Let's just spritz that over there. That would just hold it a little bit better. And the tiniest here, I do swear by 505 because it does help. But we don't want any major problems. So I am just going to stitch around here. But hopefully that 505 is going to keep my fabric staying directly in place and not moving. Right, and then we'll just turn around here. But you can keep just smoothing the fabric just to keep, and that feels better already than the previous one. So either a walking foot would be best, or put a little bit of your fabric adhesive spray to give you better results. And I can see it depends on the direction of the fabric as to whether it's straight grain or cross grain, because straight grain, so if the on one side will be straight grain and one will be cross grain. Straight grain does not stretch, whereas cross grain, as you can see, just stretches that little bit. But what we'll do is we'll trim this back into an absolute square in a moment, because as I said, we know that the pelmet violin is the perfect, is the perfect size. So let's just have a look. I can see a little bit of green there. We don't want that bit. Tiniest bit there. And tiniest bit there. And that's just where the fabric has shifted slightly. So I've got a tiny bit there. And it probably is opposite sides, purely because there will be two sides that are straight grain and two that are cross grain. Okay, so we've got those ready now for the front and the back. The next thing we're going to make is our flaps. So I've got a couple already made. So there is one of the pieces of, where's my other one? Oh, here we are. Right, so I've made my big ones. So these are ready, ready made and pressed. So these are my smaller flaps. So all we need to do is fold them in half. So these are 9 inches across, and we're going to fold it along the length so that we are folding it in half. And I'm just going to press that because I want to shape them. So I'm just going to line that up. I'll just take it over here. I don't know that you need to look at the iron. So I've just pressed that. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it in half. My folded edge is here and here. So I'm going to fold that. And at the folded edge, I'm going to just cut a curve. So I'm just going to, you can mark this if you want to, but I'm just going to curve that around, just a gentle curve like that. And I'll do the same with this piece, just so that I get the curves the same. And I'm going to put this on top, like so. And then I'm going to use that previous curve as my template. So they will be roughly similar, or they'll be very similar. So having done that, so this will be, obviously mine is plain, it doesn't matter what size, how you press it. If it's a patterned fabric, it needs to be right sides together. So this would be the right side of my fabric, because we're now going to stitch all the way around here. So we are going to use 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm using a nice small stitch like I do in Patchwork, of a 2 or a 1.8. So let's just stitch around the edge here. That's it, just that curve. And we've got a long straight edge which is on the fold, but I think you may as well stitch around there anyway. So as we come around the curve, slowly does it, or just pull that around and trim. So there's one, and then we'll take the other one on as well. And I haven't bothered to reverse there because that edge is going to be hidden. So again, I'm just pulling that around, and I didn't go too fast when I'm going around the curve because I'm trying to keep the edge of the foot against the edge of that curve. So we'll slow down, but what I'm doing is just pulling the fabric around and then down that short straight edge. So having done that stitching, the only thing I'm going to do where this stitching is, I'm just going to trim away to about 1/8 of an inch along that curve. I'm not going to bother with the rest, but just along that curve. And then the same with this other one as well. And just bring that round and that round. So just, as I say, don't cut into the stitches, but just trimming that off. I'm then going to turn this to the right side, run my finger around the edge, this internal edge, because our seam is now inside, and then I'll give that a press. Now if you wanted to, you could top stitch all around the edge. I decided I didn't feel I needed to, but if you wanted to, you could. You could even do a decorative stitch around there, which would look really, really nice. But now I'm just going to press this. So I'll just take it over here for the moment, and I've just got these two to press out so that they're ready to be added to one of the sides of our, that we've already just completed, the back or the front. They're both exactly the same. And I did say earlier that, you know, you don't just have to use fabric. If you wanted to use a patchwork block that's an orphan, I think they say, you know, one that's been left from a quilt that you've done, you've got one sits there doing nothing, why not? So there's one that I've just pressed. Why not use it as the front of your block keeper? Quite a good idea, and quite in keeping, apt for what it is. So nearly done. I'm only just pressing the there we are. So now we've got 2 narrow flaps and 2 wide ones. So let's just take, this is the next thing we're going to do. So just make sure if you've got directional fabric, it's the right way up. So it's going to be that sideways on. So we'll flip that around like that. And I'm going to have, I put the narrower ones on the side. So if you just centre it along here, now I'll put it like that so that I can see. So let's just centre that. Could actually put a clip on there, because I've brought the pin cushion with clips on. So opposite sides for the narrow strips, narrow flaps, and just centre that, as I say. Let's see, that's about right. And we'll put some clips on there. Oh, I haven't got very many here, have I? So there's those. And then the top and bottom are the wider ones. So again, centre it here. And you'll see then there's a gap here that where you can see the lining. That's good because, let's just put a pin there. and I'll flip that around, and then the other one will go at the top. So the biggest ones are top and bottom. If you happen to put it the other way around, it really doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to top stitch around just on these. Let's go for a big stitch. I'm just going to, so that I don't have pins or binding clips in the way, I'm again just top stitching, not top stitching, I'm just tacking or basting stitch to hold those in place. And it means that we can remove the pins, and we're working with just the fabrics, the base, and we haven't got to worry. Just make sure that doesn't move. There we are. We haven't got to worry that part of the flap is not in place or has come astray. It's just moving that fabric over there. Come on, foot. What are we doing? There we go. So there is 2 sides done. And then around to this one. And the next thing we are going to do, which is really quite clever, which is my little trick or tip. That's what a trip is, a cross between a tip and a trick. We're going to make the spine. So let's see here. Come on, foot pedal. Oh, I think it's because my other foot was on it. That's better. There we go. I'm just holding that in place. There we go. Just push that. The just seems to be moving just a little bit, but that's okay now. Right, so we've got those in place. They're all just ready now to be attached to the spine. So the spine, let's just have a look. So the spine is here. Okay, this thing here we're doing looks a bit complicated, but it's not. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to, I will take you over here now, to the iron, which needs a new cover on there as well. Right, let's go over to the ironing station here, and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so I've done one already. Now, for those of you that make bags, and you make your bag handles, practically the same as. With a bag handle, we would just fold that, and that would be our strap, wouldn't it? So what we're going to do is we are going to fold our, this is our 10-inch strip for the spine. We're going to fold that in half, align those raw edges perfectly. Okay, so I've lined those up, and then we're going to just open it up, but we're going to fold like we do with a handle, the raw edge into the middle with just the tiniest gap. So it's just away from that centre crease. Okay, so I've done one side, and then you just take the other side towards it and leave, as I say, the tiniest little gap. So it's the same on each side, but you can see that they are almost next to each other, because we want them to be practically identical, because we are going to put these together. I'm just going to turn that over just to give that a little press there. Okay, so hopefully, okay, so I've got my 2 pieces. I've got my 2 pieces like there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them right side. So this is the right side where it's just a no raw edges show. I'm going to put those together like that, and then we're just going to go back to the machine, and you can see what magic I'm going to be doing with these. Okay, so I'm going to line up, and you want to line it all up. I'll put a little binding clip here to hold that like that. And you want all those folded edges here to be completely the same. And we are going to use that line there. If you can still see the crease mark, use the line. We're going to stitch on that centre line, that crease we'd made when we... Now what I'm actually going to move my... It is easier if you move your needle into the middle now, because you can judge it better with your foot. So I'm holding these together. These folded edges are lining up perfectly. And I'm just going to... No, I'm not going to do with a 4.5. I'm going to do that with a 2. So go down to my patchwork stitch length, and I'm going to stitch down the middle. So I'm stitching in that tiny gap in between the 2 raw edges. Okay, so I'm going straight down here. So I wonder if you've ever done this before. Okay, so I've stitched down the middle. Can you see? Doesn't matter that, but what is going to happen now when you open it? Can you see? There was my stitching. When we open it, we have got what is going to be our spine, because we are going to, in that side, we're going to slot one edge, and in this other side, we're going to slot the other edge. There. So I am just going to press that, just so that the all those raw edges stay inside. I'm going to press that down. It will just make it easier for me when it comes to putting them around. Ooh, don't do that. Okay. Right. Nicely pressed. Okay. There we are. We can see at the side. Do you like this? It is clever, isn't it? So there's lots of other things you'll be able to do using that. You know, you might think it's, oh, anything really. Or even perhaps if you wanted to make a 3-part and do this in between, and they all, ooh, started my juices flowing now. Okay, so this one is going to be my, let's just make sure it's the right way up. Now you see, that is the wrong way up. So let's just go. Can you see that's the wrong way up? So it should be that way up. And that one is going to, this is going to be my front. So that's the right way up, that's the right way up. Flip it over. That's going to be my front. That is my other side. So when I fold them like this, what we're going to do is we're going to pop this side into here, and this side is going to go into here. So let's see which side we'll do. I will do this side first of all. So I'm just going to move this one out of the way. We'll do one at a time, and we can lift that flap. And what helps as well, where has that, oh, there it is. Okay, what I found was a great help to keep it in straight, if you've got some double-sided fusible tape or fabric adhesive tape, and I'm just going to pop this down here like so, and it just helps to keep that exactly in place. So we have our tape on there. Take off the liner, and then we can slot that into here, so it should line up top and bottom. We can trim away and just push that edge right into there, and then we can bring that over and stick it down to that tape. Okay, so I can see that is completely, oh, I've gone over a little bit there. Let's just pull that down there. That's it. So that is nice and straight there. We can flip it over just to feel that that has gone all the way in. You can have a check to make sure that is all the way in. And I'm actually, this is the outside of my folder. That's the inside. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to stitch from the other side. I thought we'd stitch from the outer piece. So I have got that all in place. And just to, I'm going to use a decorative stitch. Now the one I used, where are we? So I used a wiggly stitch. And let's just make that a little bit longer. 5.5. So I'm going to use a decorative stitch, or we could use a big zigzag. You know, you could use whatever you like on here, but something that is going to, rather than just a straight stitch, because it may not go on in the right place on the other side. So let's just go. So here we are. So I'm using this decorative stitch. I'm keeping my foot lined up with the edge here, or the edge of my foot is lined up, and just keep so this side I can keep my fingers holding the our spine down. There we are, and then just sew all the way down. And what will happen, it will be going through to the other side, and even if it's not in exactly the same place, it will be holding it down. So let's have a look. So can you see there? And we flip it over, and it's perfectly right there. Okay, so that was stitching from that side. So now we want to complete this side here. So just make sure right side up, and again, actually what I could do, so if I'm going to use my tape again, I'll put the tape on this. It doesn't matter which side you put the tape on, but let's put it on the under piece, like so. I love this tape because it comes in extremely useful at times. And let's just pull that liner off. So I've put it on the bottom piece because I'm going to lay the, gosh, let's get that piece off there. Because I'm going to lay my spine into, the other piece came off really easily. I'm going to lay my spine onto this piece. There's it, come up, there we are. Right, so pull the liner tape off there. So it's going to go this way. So I'm just pulling that top piece back. I'm lining up. There we are. So I'm lining that. So top and bottom, pushing down. So I know that that is now attached there nicely. Flip it back over. And then we can just push this over here like so. Okay. And then I'm going to stitch down here. So I do like to stitch the same way, so I can now keep my foot lined up with that side that I did before, and we can stitch all the way up here. So just carry on stitching. So whatever stitch you want to have along here, there was plenty that I actually could have chosen, but having known I've used that one and I thought that works. But you could, with your zigzag stitch, you could just put that at the widest. Or another good one would be the stretch zigzag, which has a 3 stitches in the zig. So I'm just going to trim this little bit off here so that that is nice and flush. And that little bit there I can see without trimming my flap. But there we have the spine on now, and can you see how nicely it opens? Okay, right, so we've done that, we've got the flaps on, we've got our spine, now just to bind it. So I'm going to bind, there's our flaps, they're already anchored in place. So binding, I thought I would show you, which a lot of you will know how to do. So this is the rest of my widths of fabric. So you need 2 widths of fabric, and first of all I'm going to go back to, so I moved that up to 1.2. We'll go back to the stitch I was on previously, which is that one there, and we are going to join with a diagonal seam. So I have laid I've laid it perpendicular, and then I'm going to stitch that diagonal. So let's just go here, and we're going to use a small stitch size again. I like my seam, my bias seam, to have a small stitch, so I'm on a 1.8. So I'm just stitching straight across there, and then I'm just going to trim. So that would have been right sides together. So let's just trim that off, and that bit of thread, and then I'm going to press that, and I'm just going to open that seam up, because when we're making a bias join, I want that to be open. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to press this in half all the way along. So I will take you over to here, and then we're going to pop the there we go. So with the iron, let's see how quickly we can do this. So right sides to wrong sides together even, because you want the right side showing. So I'm just pressing that in half. I should lift my iron up, but I'm just very quickly putting that along there. So I want the, here is my seam, my bias join. So we'll just fold that over and carry on lining that raw edge up, or the raw edges up. We want them to be perfectly together. Then we know when we pop this on, it is going to be, it's going to stitch easily and right first time, because the width of this is, what did I say, 2 1/4. It gives us a little bit of wiggle room on the 2 1/4, and it doesn't make our binding too wide for stopping us seeing a lot of the fabric. Sometimes if your binding is wide, it will hide the edge. Sometimes we want to hide the edge, but other times we don't. So I'm just lining that up. This is where it's nice to have a long ironing board for this, so that you could walk the whole length of the ironing board and not have to keep moving your fabric. So let's just, there we are, we're nearly at the end. We are there now. So I'm going to show you how to join this as well. So there is our straight binding. We haven't used bias binding, but it will just be a little refresher for what we do. Now I'm going to start here. So I'm going to sew from the, I'm going to sew from the inside of our holder, and I'm going to leave a flap, and I'm going to start here. So I'll start about here, and we're going to use 1/4 inch seam allowance again. So let's start here, and I'm going to get down to 1/4 inch from the end. So I've just marked that. So I'm going to stitch, and I am going to use a stitch length of 2.5 because we've got a few layers to go through. 1/4 inch, we'll just reverse there. Okay, and then carry on down. I'm going to stitch to this point. Take that pin out when it's just there. Just pivot the work and stitch off diagonally and trim. Then I'm going to pull this fabric. So this is just my strip. I'm pulling it to the right and creating a diagonal fold there. So then, let's just pop that there. I'm going to bring the strip, the binding, all the way over. I'm going to fold it on the edge of the line that we've just stitched down, and then I'm just going to pivot this again, and we're going to start stitching right from the edge and 1/4 inch again. So we're going to go the whole way along this edge, lining these raw edges up all the way down. I'll try and keep that. Oh no, that hides what I'm doing. It just gets in the way a bit. So try and, if you keep your 1/4 inch seam all the way along, it just makes for everything coming together and giving you a nice edge, or the binding is exactly the same all the way. Now I'm just marking my 1/4 inch just so I know where to stop. Probably better to put a little mark on there. So then diagonally, just pivot it and stitch off on the diagonal. And that helps pull that back absolutely right. So we're pulling this binding so that it's in line, so it makes a continuous line, and that gives us a 45-degree fold there. Then I'm going to bring it back over the top of where we've just come from and line it up along this next edge. So let's just move that tape out of the way. So I just finger press that fold, and then that will keep that nicely in place. So we'll start stitching again, and then we will carry on stitching all the way along here. So just pin along here if you like, or binding clips are probably better because the pelmet violin is quite stiff for getting your pins through. It will go through, but binding clips on this occasion are a lot better. So we're just stitching along here, 1/4 of an inch all the way, making sure that, there we are, make sure that lies nice and flat. And we're coming up to, I'm going to put that pin in again, just there. So I'm just putting my pin where I know the 1/4 of an inch will be, and that is where I shall stop. There we go. So we're just coming up, just about to stop now. There we are. And we're going to pivot, stitch off at an angle, and do exactly the same again. Pull that so that it's parallel or running in line with that next edge, then flip it back to the left like so, and then we'll bring it round again and we'll stitch this short edge, and we will carry on stitching. So there is our bias join. If you didn't want to do the bias join, you could just join it straight edge to edge if you wanted to. I'm just going to put my 1/4 of an inch marker in again, just there. So we're still carrying on stitching down here. And when we get to that last one, our last 1/4 of an inch point, so there, it's nearly there, one more, and then pivot so that we can stitch off at that diagonal angle. So you'll have 4 times you'll need to get round a corner. Pull it back again, finger press there, flip it over rather, and nail press that there and around, just to finish off this last bit. Now we're not going to stitch the whole way. We're coming up to our last point where we started here. I'm going to leave a fair size gap, so let's just stitch down to here. Let's go there and just reverse that little bit and cut. So what we're going to do here now, we want to join this piece to this piece. We want to join it, that's quite a long, it is easier to join the longer you have. And just because the selvage is there, I'm just going to trim that selvage off. Okay. So what we're going to do is, can we see here? Yeah, we can. So here is one. I haven't folded this one back instead. So I've got a raw edge here. So I'm just pulling this to fit this edge here. And then I'm going to fold the excess back. And when I fold it, I want the fold to butt up to, it's hard to see, so there's my raw edge. I'm having the fold butt up to there, and what I'm going with that little bit that I cut off, I cut the selvage off that other, I'm going to use that as the width that I need of this piece, this extra piece here beyond the fold. I'm going to lay that on there like that, and then I'm going to cut just this one layer, not the underneath, just that top layer. I'm going to cut that off. So this is where you be very careful and trim that to that size. So I've cut that amount of fabric off at that width, and what I've got now is 2 ends. Okay, So I find it easier to turn that around. So I've got these two ends, okay, and what I do is I'm going to open it up and open it up both away from me, and then I'm going to put one, so I'm going to twist this one right sides together with this piece here. And what we can do is actually put a pin there, because I'm going to manipulate the holder. So I'm putting a pin there because I know that's how it's going to go. I'm going to fold this book up so that I've purely got this piece that we're going to stitch. So, and that's why we need a big gap to give us the opportunity to lay this down flat. So you can see what I'm doing here. That piece is going, it's going to fit right into that corner and along there, and then I'm going to stitch. I can put a pin where I'm going to stitch. So I'm going to stitch across there all the way down to, let's just pull that there, down to that little corner there. So I'll put another pin in there as well, just to hold that together, and we're just going to stitch. So where that pin is pointing, we're going to stitch along here. So I'll take the pin out where I can see my foot is going, and oops, close. We're going to do a short stitch length again, 1.8, and you can take the pin out if you can see. I'm going to hold the pin just there so I can see where I'm heading for. If you would rather draw a line, absolutely fine. So you can see there, I've stitched that and I've got that bit. Now before we're going to cut that triangle off, I like to make sure that I've stitched it the right way. And can you see, although there's that bulk in there, that is stitched the right way. So test it out before you cut anything off. So again, let us just trim that off. So trim the triangle away and open out the seam like so. If you can get to it, to an iron, you can press that, but then fold that back. Well, if we open it out, can you see how that folds and fits snugly along that length? So I'm going to go back to where I was stitching, and I'll go back to my normal stitch length of 2.5, and we will just carry on stitching along here. So, just making sure those edges all line up beautifully. And let's just push that down, like so, and just carry on all the way to where we began. I don't know if I went off that little tiny little bit there. Let's just have a look at that 1/4 of an inch seam, if it went in a little bit. Oh, it did go just a tiny bit. Let's just go. So all I'm going to do, because I want my seam allowance to be that 1/4 of an inch, so I'm just going back over that again. Okay, all we need to do now is push this binding over to the other side. So let's flip it over. These corner points we're going to push over to the front, like so. And you could go the whole way around, just pulling the edge over and putting your binding clips on, or, as I'm going to do, I'm going to pull it over as we go. But you can, as I say, just go all the way around, put your binding clips on, find this piece here, this corner, pull it over. Don't trim any of those corner points off. There's another clip there. So there's a clip there. So you can put your binding clips all the way around, or, as I say, let's start just here. So all these little bits of thread, either trim them off or push them into this seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the binding over, like so. And then I'm going back to that decorative stitch, because I want something that's nice and easy to use. We're going to use that one. Let's do up there. And I'm going to put my foot down on here, And again, I'm just going to, with the decorative stitch, I'm going to allow the side of the foot to line up with, let's just see, okay, can we see there? So I'm just pulling this over as I go, and I'm doing the decorative stitch because I know it is going to work on both sides. So again, just pull your binding over, and we'll whiz our way around the edge. Right, so when I come down to a corner, I'm not quite there yet. So I'm coming down to a corner, which, just like I would with a quilt, I'm going to pull that down, and I am going to, I like to use a seam ripper to flatten down in there, pull that bit up, and we make a mitre. So once we've made the mitre, I press the seam ripper down into there, just making sure it's come up there. I carry on with my decorative stitch until it starts, right, it's gone into that next seam, that next piece of binding. So I'm going to pivot round now, and I'm going to carry on. Now, it may not line up, but it's gone round a corner and it will look fine. So again, there's a bit of thread there. So I'm just pushing that thread into the seam and carrying on with my stitching. I'll take that binding clip off. I'm coming around the corner a bit here just to get the next part of the binding. So pull that binding around, bring it over the edge. And as I say, I'm still keeping my eye on the left-hand side of my foot. There we go. Now I've come down to that end again. So push my seam ripper down, push the fabric of the binding up, and I'm creating that mitre. And I'm just going to put the tip of the seam ripper in there until it gets caught down. There we are. So that's caught down now by that stitch. So again, I'm going to pivot, come round here. What you should notice, the side of the foot is roughly on the edge of the binding. So again, just pull this fabric up, pull the binding up, and I'm holding it down just before the needle gets there. Can you see my fingers are there? Just holding it. But it is a case of, if you prefer to have pins there or binding clips, do that. Do what pleases you. And there we go. I don't know how we're doing for time, but we are nearly finished. But I thought, you know, it's about time, or it'd be nice to see how we completely finish one of these projects. I know it's something that a lot of you will know how to do, but some of you may not have seen this before, and this will help them with your patchwork quilts, or if you're making table placemats that you want to put a binding around. It's just all a refresher if you haven't done it for a while. So again, I'm just pulling that over. So I'm coming down towards this next corner, but that's holding it down all the way. Right, so now that I'm close to there, seam ripper in there again and push that up so that we can make a nice mitre. And then let's just pop our seam ripper, poke that in there, weight it right. I don't think that is, there we are. That was just the way the decorative stitch went. Didn't quite go into it, but it will come back out now. There we are. So again, one more corner to go. And I've just pulled all of that binding out again, so that the stitching is going totally on the binding. And we know it's going to look fine from the other side because it's stitching all the way through. So right at that corner, we'll clip a few of those threads off, pull the corner up, bring it over. I'll bring that binding over nearly down to this last edge again. So again, seam ripper down there, push the fabric up. So those mitres are lovely. If you wanted to do your straight stitching around the edge, always looks really neat. Oh, let's see if it's right. I decided it wasn't the right point of the stitch then to hold that down, but it is going to go straight back in now. And let's just make sure that's pushed down. There we go. So I pulled my binding over and over again there. And carry on down. Now what you will find with a decorative stitch, it may very well not meet in exactly the same, so it won't be continuous. Let's just have a look here, because that looks, the binding to come over nice and neatly. That's it. Let's just pull that over there, and carry on stitching along. So this is where also a stiletto is good. So let's see, that's coming over there. So this is just as we're coming up to the meeting point, and we're still stitching along with our decorative stitch, and we'll see how close we can get to meeting it. Right, I'm going to stop just there, because I was very lucky with my first one in that the decorative stitching actually joined, but that isn't too bad. Can you see? Doesn't look too different. And then just on the back, let us just clip that off there. So on the back, you can see the stitching has gone onto the binding and onto the lining fabric, but we've completely finished. So let's have a look. Okay, right, so there we are. So this one's got yellow binding, the other one had green, and there is our really nice and neat and there's the back spine. It's a lovely way of doing a spine, isn't it? And it looks as though I've taken so much effort to do this. Oh, it's only just coming up 8. That is brilliant. So how nice and easy with just a little bit more, well, no more effort really, but that decorative stitch. Oh, thank you, everybody. That's so kind. But there it is. So now, yeah, I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased with that. As I say, with the decorative stitching around there, it looks as though I've gone to a lot of effort to do that, but actually I haven't. Oh, thank you, Gita. Oh, what can be used instead of pelmet file? Styleville. Styleville is more fun. You could use Decaville. What you could do, you see, another way, this is why I did it this way rather than when I made one many moons ago, I actually made almost like a pocket and slotted cardboard into a pocket, and I thought we can't do that. So it really wouldn't matter if you didn't have Decaville, if you didn't have pelmet violin in here. It just makes it, can you see, it just gives it that smoothness and just a little bit more firm. Can you see? Like so. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Sandra. But at the end of the day, it's going to lay flat. I would use Thermolam because it is that much flatter and more firm than, say, an 80-20 wadding, which is meant to be warm and drapey. And if you haven't got, I mean, I have got pelmet violin on the website, It's a nice little, thank you Patricia, thank you Carolyn. It's a nice product to have for a little bit, whether you're doing little cases or, you know, bigger things, but it just gives that extra body. I mean, what you could use, if you've got any H250, which is a medium weight interfacing, like a dressmaking interfacing, you could pop 2 layers of that if you wanted to. When would you add a tie? Yes, I would actually do that afterwards. So because we're bringing the binding over, you could have, yeah. So when we're coming around doing the binding, doing this decorative stitching on the top, you could slot it underneath and stitch that down then, on both sides or just one side. Because if you did an extra long piece from one end, you could wrap it round and take the other one round the other way. Or popper. That's what I'm going to do with mine. Thank you, Tony. Carol, you've never used it, permit filing, before. Do you know, I haven't even got a little bit up here. But it is like, what is it like? It's just, it's a bit like board. It's a little bit like, but it is a, I suppose it's synthetic, acrylic, polyester that is compressed and just that little harder weight. And what I would say with the permit Vilene is, because it's on a roll, it gets curved, and when I post it out, it gets curved. But all I did was iron it with a little bit of steam, it goes flat immediately. So it's a nice product to hold in your stash. But as I say, doesn't have to be as, there you can see that is nice and firm. It could be soft. So Thermolam would be a great one. I would say it does need something in there just to hold it together. Jack says, will you be able to show the new popper tool you get one evening? Yes, Jack, I will. It's on order. There is a new by Prim. It's the Vario tool, which actually puts your cam snaps on very easily. You know how usually I have pliers? Now this is not, it's not one of these, but the punch like this, similar, where we put the cam snaps in with. There is now one that Prim do, and you press the handle down. It looks lovely. It works out, they're about £90, but I shall be getting a couple in and putting one through its paces, if any, but they're not here yet. So if you wait a mo, you could sew up the bottom pocket sides and would hold rulers. You could. You could. So with this, if you wanted to, you could have, you could sew these sides here, or these, and pop your rulers in there as well. You could indeed. Or, yeah, if you, or you could sew down here and slot your mini ones, your narrow ones. Or, if you make these flaps wider, to take a wider ruler. Yes. Would permit Vilene be suitable for covering and putting in the base of a shopping bag to give a firm base? Yes. I would probably put 2 layers of it though. The other good thing is plastic canvas is good for bases as well. Beverly, yeah. Oh, Carolyn's interested. Okay. Could you use foam? You could use foam. But what I think, if I were using Styleville foam, I would foam wadding. I probably wouldn't quilt it as much because when you quilt the foam, it makes it more floppy. I mean, it looks good. Or if I were going to quilt the Styleville foam, I would do it cross hatching. So I'd go diagonally one way and diagonally the other, to keep it as a uniform amount of wadding there. I was just going to say, and you can see from this one, oh, let's just push that little flap in, like there. So I've got diagonal, oh, they look good together, don't they? I've got diagonal quilting on this one, I've got straight quilting on that one. So, yeah, you could give it a go. It would give it depth, but it's softish. So you could do. you could do. Yes, we answered that one. Yes. Or put rules on the other. Yep, indeed. So much you could do with it. Or an embroidered piece on the front. Absolutely, Jack. Why didn't I think of that? You could have my block keeper. You could have whatever you wanted. Yeah, with your embroidery machines. So, yes. Now, I have got some of this fabric, but it's not on the website yet. If I get a chance tomorrow, but it's visiting Mum tomorrow. I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. I talk to her every day, and she's fine, but I need to see her. And she wants one of my Rebecca bags. So, please don't ask to see a Rebecca bag unless I make another one, because one is winging its way to my mummy. So, I'm going to love you and leave you now. We're just after 8. It's been a lovely session. I have thoroughly enjoyed making these. So, here we go again. Right, Glynis Martin is okay. He is, yes, he can't wait. It's 2 weeks, 6 days before he's due to have it done. So, thank you, Lindsay. Yes, I do need to take some family time, Jack, and I will do. Jill is cutting hers out now. Well done, Jill. Before I go to bed, I expect to see one in the Sew Trisha Sews group. No, not really. I'm just joking. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been a lovely, lovely evening. Enjoy your weekend. I shall be back on Tuesday in the Sew with Trisha group, and we will be doing the first row of Sew a Row in the Sew with Trisha group. So I can't wait for that. I will get all my samples ready for you, and we'll see what we'll do then. So take care of yourselves. Enjoy a little bit or a lot of sewing this weekend. Hope it doesn't rain anymore. It shouldn't do. But have a lovely time, and I'll see you next week. So bye for now.